Welcome to the Coach Sing Show, offering you the latest creative content marketing tips to help you work less, earn more, and help more people. Are you a coach singer yet? Join the community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come to discover the latest industry trends and partner with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachsing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello, and welcome back to the Coach Sing Show. This is Doug Foresta, your host as always. And this is a show we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. My guest today is Russ Ruffino, founder of Clients on Demand. I know you get a lot out of this episode. I think it's a little different than probably some of the stuff that you've heard before on the show. So stay tuned. I really think you're going to hear some great stuff that's going to help you with what you want, which is how to get more clients, how to grow your business. Say a little bit about Russ and bring him right on. Russ Ruffino is founder of Clients on Demand. He helps experts build reliable marketing and sales processes that attract 5 to 10 new potential clients a day, scaling to 6 figures a month. Soon to be father and true lifestyle entrepreneur, he enjoys traveling and helping others create the freedom that they want. And I'm going to give you 2 links today, but the first one I want you to go to is clientsondemand.com/webinar, clientsondemand.com/webinar. Russ Ruffino, welcome to the Coach Sing Show.
Hey, Doug, thanks for having me here.
Thank you. So, I'm going to start with actually a little bit different question than I normally ask, because actually it sounds like to me that from what I've read about you, that we always talk about content marketing, but you kind of have a little bit different approach, right? Like, do you suggest that coaches start out with content when they're first creating their business?
Actually, no. I mean, so the conventional wisdom that's out there is that if you want to grow your business, the first thing you need to do is to create content, right? To create tons of blog posts or podcasts or videos or just like all kinds of stuff. But when you look at how that unfolds in practice, right? Essentially what they're asking you to do is slave labor. You're sitting at your computer, right? And every single day you're very diligently like grinding out blog post after blog post after blog post, and you're just, you're hunched over your computer, you're getting arthritis, and you're sitting there wondering to yourself, when is anyone going to discover all this content that I'm creating? And not only when are they going to discover it, but how the hell do I take them from just reading my blog to becoming a paying client?
Right.
So like, I don't know about you, but I read a lot of blogs, man, and I don't think I've ever bought anything from somebody whose blog I read. I mean, I read I read Tim Ferriss's blog. I read Ramit Sethi's blog. I've never bought anything from either of those guys besides just, a book you can get at Barnes & Noble. So how the hell are you supposed to, create enough content and enough compelling content to really build an audience without killing yourself first? And if you do ever manage to build that audience, how the hell are you ever supposed to monetize it and turn it into clients?
Right.
And so for me and my business as a marketing coach, I was looking at the conventional wisdom that's out there with all these people saying, you got to create content. I just said, listen, man, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to do this. So what I did is I said, listen, instead of me creating massive amounts of content and just throwing it out there and kind of hoping that people will find it, I want to do something very different. I want to create one 45-minute webinar. I want to automate that webinar so I don't even have to be there to do it live. And I want to drive traffic just to that one place. And that's what we do. So we drive traffic from social media, like from Facebook and Twitter, into a 45-minute automated webinar. And then on that webinar, we teach people some really cool stuff about their business, about how to grow their business, about how to get more clients. And then we offer them the chance to get on the phone with us if they'd like to talk about becoming a client. And just by doing that, we've been able to build a $200,000 to $300,000 a month coaching business just off that one piece of content. So as of this writing, I have a blog. I haven't written a blog post in a really long time. I don't do a lot of video marketing. I don't do a lot of that stuff. I just don't do that stuff because I don't have the time. We have one presentation that we use to reach out to potential clients and then give them the chance to get on the phone with us. And then if they're a fit, we enroll them into our programs. And it's a really simple, really elegant process. And anyway, where you end up is that people go from browsing around on Facebook and Twitter, and within 48 hours, they're making a high-ticket purchase from us. And 95% of the people who end up buying from us had no idea who I was before they clicked that ad.
So one of the things that I'm really wondering then about that is, can you say a little bit about what is in that webinar or how that process works that you can take someone from from basically being cold, a cold lead to
Hmm.
a high ticket prospect. What is it? Can you say a little bit about what is it that you do in that webinar that brings people along, or what is it that you do in that process that brings people along so quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, so obviously we can only go so deep with
Right.
this on,
Sure.
on a podcast interview. And
Right.
there really is an art and a science to how to deliver a great webinar. But let me give you a couple concepts that I think will make a big difference, right? The first concept is that you should spend very, very little time talking about you and almost all of your time talking about the client and specifically the problem that the client is wrestling with. So if you're a coach or you're an expert or you're a consultant, right? The way to connect with someone is not to talk about how great you are because nobody cares.
Yeah.
The way to, but that's just not the way human beings
No, it's
think.
true. We don't. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Right now, your potential clients are struggling with this horrible problem that they're dealing with. So let's just say, for example, that you're like, I don't know, a relationship coach. Let's just say we'll pull that out of a hat because it's not marketing related, right? Let's say that you're a relationship coach and that you help people that are in a relationship fix that relationship. So you can take somebody whose marriage isn't working or maybe the couple is drifting apart and you help them fix that, right? What you begin the conversation by talking about is you start by describing that problem the way that the client experiences it every day. So you don't start by talking about yourself. You talk about their day-to-day life with this problem. Now, just by doing that, you create instant connection and instant rapport because right away those people feel understood in a way that maybe even their closest friends don't connect with them and don't understand with them, and you're telling them things that they're thinking and feeling that maybe they're not even admitting to themselves. So I'll give you an example.
Sure.
Relationships are not my niche, but I'll just
Right.
just off the top of my head.
Yeah, we'll go with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we'll just roll with it. So if this sucks, I apologize. I apologize in advance. But okay, so at the beginning of the webinar, you might say something like this. You might say, "Okay, guys, before we get into everything we're going to talk about today, I just want to do a quick check-in with you. Does this sound like you? Do you wake up every single day next to this person that you've known and loved for years, but every single day you feel like the distance between you is getting bigger and bigger? Do you sometimes go days and days without ever really communicating with the person that you're with? Do you feel like every day the air between you gets thicker and thicker and thicker with so many things that are going unsaid?" So that's just off the top of my head, basically. But you can see how if someone is in that situation, hearing you describe that problem in that way, they're going to go, "Holy cow, this person really gets what I'm going through." And when we hear somebody describe our problems better than we can, we automatically assume they know the answer. So just by doing that, you go a long way toward creating that authority and that connection and that rapport where they feel heard, they feel understood, and they go, "Okay, this person is way different than all the other coaches out there that are just talking about themselves." And then once you've established that you really understand the problem, then you just have to establish that you really have a good solution to it. And obviously, you can't teach them the entire solution right there on the 45-minute webinar. But what you do is you teach them a little bit of the solution, enough to establish your authority, so that they listen to it, and you give them a little bit of help with this problem. So the cool thing about that is that you're connecting with them deeply about whatever the problem is, and then you're establishing your authority by giving them a little bit of the solution. So the cool thing about that is you're actually, you're proving you can help them by actually helping them. You're not relying on testimonials. You're not relying on case studies. You're not relying on your, quote unquote authority or whatever that is. You're saying, "Hey, you've got this problem. Let me help you with it right now, right here." And then at the end of the webinar, it's just, "Hey, if you like that and you want me to help you some more and really help you solve this problem for good, here's how you reach out." Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And, when you said that, I think that's one of the reasons about, describing the problem in the way that the client understands the problem is, I think that's so powerful. And I've said this before on the show, but it reminds me of the song by Roberta Flack, Killing Me Softly. And, she says, he sang as if he knew me in all my dark despair. And it's like, there's something really powerful about that sense of like, that's me, you just described me. And
and the thing is like, if it's like a universal principle. So the example I always use, Doug, is let's just say for example that you had this like really really weird pain in your arm, right? And let's just say it started in your shoulder, and then it kind of like went all the way, shot down to your wrist, and then it kind of bounced right back up to your shoulder, right? Yeah. Really the weirdest thing in the world. Well, you could be on the street and talking to your friends and be like, yeah man, I got this pain in my shoulder, and a homeless guy could come up to you and be like, oh yeah, the pain that starts in your shoulder and it goes down to your wrist and it goes back up to your shoulder.
That guy gets me.
Yeah, and you look at that guy and be like, yes, how do I fix it? Like the guy's not a doctor. The guy's got no qualifications, but he gets what you're going through. And so right away you assume that he must know the answer. And that's a really powerful force. And I'll just tell you, it's a hell of a lot more powerful than, getting people on a webinar and talking about how great you are or how great your qualifications are or anything else, because if you can describe that problem, people are going to say, this guy's got the answer. This guy gets it.
Oh, that is one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard, because you're absolutely right. If a homeless guy came over and described some problem that I had, I would be like, yeah, how did you deal with it?
Right, exactly. It's like, it's just this automatic response where you don't even like think about, is this guy qualified? Because he understands the problem. He must know something, right?
So then let me ask you this. This is content marketing. I think it's just that you do much more effective content marketing. Is there a place so once you have that structure set up, do you, I guess one of the questions I'm wondering is like, how important is it? Do you really need to create 10,000 blog posts then in this model?
So no, we're just now. So we've been running this model for 2 years. We've scaled things up to $200,000 to $300,000 a month on the front end. We spend about $10,000 a month to get there, but that means we're making about $20 for every dollar we spend on advertising. So we've just done that. We have not done anything else for the last 2 years, and now we're at the point where now that the sales process is dialed in, now it makes sense for me to do a little bit more audience building, because I know that each person who reaches out to work with us is worth a certain, it's worth a certain amount of money. I know exactly what the percentage chance are that they're going to, that they're going to be a fit and they're going to become a client. So now that we have that sales process dialed in, now it makes sense for us to start to put ourselves out there. And that's why I'm, talking to you and, doing podcast interviews and things like that. Yeah. But so I think that what happens is a lot of coaches and consultants, they put the cart before the horse. They try to build the audience. First of all, they don't know where they're going to get the audience. They don't know what the hell they're going to talk about. Once they start talking about stuff, they don't know where the audience is going to come from. And they kind of just cross their fingers and hope they show up. And then once they do have that audience, they're terrified to sell them anything because they don't want to alienate that audience that showed up for free stuff. So I think the right way to do it is to get your sales process dialed in, where that people come to watch your webinar, 20 to 30% of those people are going to reach out to talk to you, and you're going to accept X number of people as a client at such and such a price. So if you want to get to say $100,000 a month and you have a $5,000 program, you only need 20 people to get there. So figure out how you're going to get those 20 people month after month after month so that you're hitting that income goal. And then once that process is in place, where it's nice and streamlined and easy, then you go and build the audience so you can scale things up and put your name out there in a big way. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I'm going to follow up with a question I get all the time from coaches and people who listen to the show, which is about traffic. And I'm curious, it sounds like you're running paid ads. Can you say a bit about, so if I'm just starting out, I'm doing a webinar like this and I'm using this system, how do I get people to show up for that webinar?
Well, so you're talking about specifically the problem of attendance?
Not necessarily attendance. I'm talking
not
about,
necessarily.
Well, that would be great too, but also just traffic in the first place. Like a lot of people just struggle with, like, okay, how do I get traffic? Even to a lead, to a lead page.
Yeah. So to make this work, there's a few things that you have to dial in, right? Obviously, you need to know what problem you're solving, and you would be shocked how many coaches, consultants, and experts have no idea what problem they're solving. They don't think of things in terms of a problem. They'll say to themselves, well, I teach emotional freedom technique.
Right.
Or, or I teach this, or this is what I do. This is my approach. I teach, I don't know, energy healing or something like that. But that's not a problem. And that goes back to what I was talking about before, where it's like, if you do that, that's fine. That's a tremendous skill set to have. But you have got to point that at a specific problem, because that's all that your target market is thinking about. They're thinking about the problem. So once you know what that problem is, then you can begin to design marketing that speaks intelligently to that problem. And so what you do is you can come up with a very simple ad that you run on Facebook and Twitter. You send that ad to one landing page for the webinar, right?
Yep.
And then you send them to the one webinar, and then you get them on the phone. So once you've got so the first part of getting the traffic right is to get that message and to get that clarity dialed in. So with my clients, what we do is the first thing we do is we focus on getting that clarity, getting that message, tight. So it's really clear, really compelling, and you can reduce it down to a simple headline, which is like, 8 or 9 words. That's so intriguing, so captivating, and so powerful that it's going to make people, go from. Yeah, make people go from, posting pictures of their cats or whatever they're doing
right.
to clicking your ad and be so intrigued that they sign up for that webinar and that they actually make the time to show up for the webinar. So once you've got that clarity in place and you can distill that down to a headline, which is kind of what we do with our clients, then you can just run that again and again and again. So the good news is that getting that dialed in can be tricky. I'll be honest. It can be difficult because you have to test a few different headlines until you find the thing that works.
Right.
But once it's dialed in, you are good to go. So, let me tell you how lazy we are. When we first started doing this, we ran the same ad to the same landing page, to the same webinar, to the same people for the first year of our business before we changed anything.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So a full year went by before we finally started to see that drop in performance, because it was like, hey, everyone's seen this freaking ad. Maybe we should show them something new. But like, it was so much more efficient because I didn't have to create a bunch of blog posts. I didn't have to even create a bunch of ads. I created like one ad. I created a few ads until we found the one that worked. Then we just ran that ad and we ran it right to the same webinar. And so that's all that I needed was one ad, one landing page, one webinar, and that's it. That was enough to build a $200,000 a month business. So to me, that's way easier than having to wake up, 4 or 5 times a week and say, damn, what am I going to blog post about today? Or what am I going to, what video am I going to make today? Or what piece of content am I going to make today? And then you're doing all those things and doing all that work without ever knowing if it's going to turn into clients, if it's going to turn into money for you.
Yes, and I agree with you. I mean, I can't ever remember reading a blog post and going, oh my God, I have to work with this person.
Never. It literally never happened.
Right. I can't think of. Yeah, I was trying to rack my brain and go, has that ever happened? And yeah, like Ramit or Seth Godin. Right. I've never been like, oh my God, I have to hire Seth Godin as my coach, if that was even possible. But one last question for you before we go. I wanted to ask you, since you did bring it up, which was about the attendance piece, and so yeah, there's the getting people to sign up and getting them into your funnel. But do you have any tips about actually how to get people, on the live webinar once they've actually registered?
Okay, so this is an amazing thing that we discovered. I used to do a lot of live webinars where I would really be there, rocking the mic or whatever, and do the webinar live. And eventually I started to get burned out on those. So I was like, man, there's got to be a way to automate these webinars. So we started using a piece of software called Stealth Seminar, which is an amazing platform. And what it allows you to do is to automate your webinars so that they have all the look and feel and power of a live event, but you don't necessarily have to be there. If you want to be there, like at the end to do the Q&A, you can do that. But basically, the thing runs by itself, right? So I just tried this out of pure laziness. But what we found, and this is the most amazing thing, is that when you're doing a webinar live, it's typical to get between a 10 and 25% attendance rate. So if you have 1,000 people registered for your webinar, you may only get like 200 of them showing up.
Right.
But when you automate the webinar, we're able to get that attendance rate up to 75%.
That's amazing.
So if we have 1,000 people registered, we're getting 750 people coming. So that was something that completely caught me by surprise. I was definitely not expecting that. And then we saw these, really, really high attendance rate, and I was just blown away. So what that means is that if you've got 1,000 people registered for a live webinar, 200 people are going to show up. If you have 1,000 people registered for an automated webinar, 750 people are going to show up. So that's almost 4 times as many eyeballs on your offer, which is obviously dramatically increases, sales and conversions. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, all right, thank you for that. That's a great tip. At the top of the show, I had mentioned the link, clientsondemand.com/webinar, but I also know that you have a really cool Facebook group, right, as well?
Yeah, we do. So the clientsondemand.com/webinar, if you guys go there, that's going to show you our current webinar. So it's really cool, to hear someone talk about a funnel, but ultimately you want to see, well, what is the sales process? Can I check this out? So if you go to clientsondemand.com/webinar, you're going to see that is our sales process. You can register, you can watch the webinar, you can see exactly what we're doing. And if you think it's a fit, you can even reach out about becoming a client. Now, the Facebook group is this public Facebook group that we have. You have to, ask to be a part of it, but then we'll approve you for membership. But it's called the Art of High Ticket Selling. And it's an amazing group. As of today, there's about 3,500 people in there. Almost all of them are coaches, consultants, high-level service providers, and all of them are in the process of selling their services for somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000. So there's some very high-level discussions happening in there. If you want to raise your prices, if you want to get more clients, and you want to get more clients at some really amazing premium prices, the discussions that are happening in that group, it's like I'm learning a lot, and it's totally free. And to check that out, all you need to do is go to clientsondemand.com/Facebook. So you got clientsondemand.com/webinar and clientsondemand.com/Facebook. But yeah, come check out that group. I'd love to see you in there.
Russ Ruffino, thank you so much for joining me. And one of the takeaways today is, even homeless people can become authorities if you do the right thing.
Yeah, if you explain the problem right, yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on and sharing your words of wisdom with us.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I want to remind you that if you've not subscribed to the show, go ahead and visit iTunes, click the subscribe button. You get new episodes every week, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at The Coach Singh Show.
Thanks for listening to The Coach Singh Show. Need help getting your book out of your head and onto paper? Need help marketing your books or speaking engagements? We can do it for you. Go to CoachSing.com to learn more. Are you a coach singer yet? Join the Coach Singers community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers meet. You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to CoachSing.com/community to join now.